So today the topic is around what type of business owner are you? The reason that this came to me today is because I actually work part-time in a little gift store here locally. And the reason that I took this part-time job is because I'm interested in actually buying the gift store so that I can actually do my personality dimensions and my design work right in the gift store. There's this wide open space behind the gift store that's not even being used. And I thought, well, this is a perfect location for me to do it. So, anyways, I work part-time in the gift store and I made a big mistake. Well, not big, but probably in the spectrum of things, kind of big, a few weeks ago. And this is why I'm asking you what type of business owner you are, because I want your opinion. And you can make it in the comments here what you would do in the same situation. So, in the gift store, I work part-time, very part-time, like 4 or 5 days a month. And on one particular day, I got a lot of cash from two people who came in. One was an older lady who she came in with her daughters, and her daughters paid by Visa or on their debit. And she was paying cash. And it was several $100s. When she was giving me the cash, she counted it out, but two 50s got stuck. Okay, so two $50 bills got kind of stuck together. And she counted it to me. It looked correct. I counted it. And I don't know if it was the heat of that day because it was a really warm day or what, but those two 50s stayed stuck. Then I recounted it again before I put it into the till. So whenever I deal with cash, I always kind of have like a 3-step process. They count it out to me, I count it, and then before I even put it into there. Hi, Tommy. Nice that you joined here. And so I did this 3-step process for cash. And yet at the end of the day, I made a mistake. $50 mistake, cash mistake. And before I tell you whether it was over or under, a few things went through my mind. At first, I thought I made the mistake of being short on the till, $50. And I was like, oh my gosh, all these things. I mean, I'm in my 50s. I'm an adult. I've been dealing with cash transactions for a zillion years in a lot of different businesses. And I really want you to be thinking this of what would you do if you were the owner? Okay, so someone made a cash mistake. So the first thing that happened to me when I did this cash mistake is, I don't know why, but I felt, oh, I'm short $50. I'm going to be fired. Like, really? Probably not going to be fired. But it was that whoosh went into my body. Like, I made this mistake. Yay! Tommy, that mic sounds so much better. Woohoo! He gave me an audit yesterday, and so I'm like, or the other day, I think it was Tuesday, 2 days ago, and I am using the mic. Thank you very much. And so I had this thing here go through my head. I'm going to get fired, or the owner's going to deduct it from my pay. Two things that neither one that I really liked. But then I realized the mistake is that actually the client overpaid me by $50. So the customer here in my shop, she paid those two 50s, got stuck. And then I realized, oh, this is an overpayment. It just happened to be that the lady had come back into the store maybe about 10 minutes later, who she thought she forgot her sunglasses in there. So I got her name and her phone number because she thought she forgot her sunglasses in there. So I actually did have her name, not just a cash transaction. And then I realized when I was over $50, and there's only literally 2 people in that day because we're in a very small community who paid cash. Most people don't carry a lot of cash with them anymore. And the other person paid like $87. So I knew exactly what she had paid. So it must have been this older lady. When I was doing this, and this comes to the question of what would you do if you were the business owner? Because I'm actually going to tell 2 stories here today that are going to make a little bit more sense with this. So I realized that it was this older lady. And I left a note for the owner saying, hey, I'm over in the till, $50. It was probably this lady. Here's her name and her phone number. And I don't know what the owner actually did. I have no idea if she kept the $50 or did she try to phone the lady? I don't really know. Okay. And then I forgot to ask. However, I am curious though, if the mistake had gone the other way, what would the owner have done? Probably reprimanded me like a child. Even though I think she's great, I'd probably say that she would probably still have a talking to me because of shorting by $50. And that $50 now costing her. It's probably costing her food on her table for her children. Like I've done so many mistakes, by the way, in all sorts of stores. And money changing hands has always been, it's a huge mistake, right? And so I kind of thought, well, maybe she would talk to me like a child and then reprimand me and say this is costing her money out of the mouth of her kids. I've heard all of this, by the way. And then I thought, well, that's just my imagination because obviously this conversation never even happened. But either way, it gave me pause. So if this was my business, because I am interested in buying this gift shop, what would I do? What would be the conversation that I would have with my employee? Interesting, isn't it? Because in today's transits, and actually it's been going on for the last week, it's been the gate of influence has been very, very strongly. And today, of course, is leadership and action must both be one and the same, right? So how you would handle a cash transaction in your business, think about it. And let's say that you had the employee who made the mistake. How would you handle that? Really, really interesting. And it gave me kind of pause because I'm thinking, how would I handle that situation if I was the owner? Okay. And then would I treat that person with respect, with dignity? Because let's face it, if you have a business, mistakes like cash transactions, even if it's online, mistakes are going to happen. And how are you going to handle that as the owner of your business? Just think about that clearly. And I would love for you guys to make comments here of if you were in that situation, how would you handle it? Now, either the store feels it, or if I would have shorted a customer, the customer is going to feel it. There's going to be two ways that energy is going to flow. And we also have this week, this gate of contraction where I could have kept it secret. Interesting, right? I could have maybe not told the owner and just pocketed that $50. Could have, right? I wouldn't because I'm a very, very honest and very much have integrity for myself and for clients and customers. In fact, I would probably go the higher route always. Always the higher route. Then this made me also think about this one really crappy transaction that I had. So I'm going to tell this true story as well. We got a pizza delivery a few years ago. And for whatever reason, brand new person who's dealing with the debit machine, she made a huge mistake. She actually, instead of charging me $59 for my pizza, she gave me back into my account $59. Okay, now I didn't know right away because I don't go into my online banking and be checking my account diligently every single day. It was probably a few days later that I realized I was deposited $59 and not taken out. Must have been the same time that the manager of the pizza, he realized the exact same thing. So this manager phones me up and he was peeved, not necessarily at me, but at the girl who made the mistake. And she then came back later and got money, but he was so mad and livid on the phone with me over this girl's mistake. Okay, an employee. Interesting. So what he did was he said, well, you're going to have to pay back the $59 that we deposited into your account. I'm like, okay, cool. I get that. He goes, and then you're going to have to pay for the pizza. I'm like, okay, cool. I get that. Then he made a comment that he's very, very close to firing this girl because of this massive mistake. I'm like, dude, it's a pizza. It's a couple pizzas, right? It's like a couple pizzas and some breadsticks. I'm like, you're going to fire somebody over making a mistake? Okay. And so anyways, he goes, she'll be down there in about 15 minutes to fix this. And I'm like, well, why can't you fix it? You're the manager. Nope. She needs to learn responsibility and this and that. And if she doesn't do this, I am going to fire her. Like, he was peeved. I'm like, dude, why are you even talking to me like this? I'm just a customer. So anyways, she came to her house. You could clearly tell she had been crying. And she was a bit of an older lady too, who was probably relying on this income. Okay. She's like, I don't know what happened. I made this huge mistake. I feel really, really bad. So for this $59 pizza, I paid the $59 back. I paid the $59 that I now owe. So it's like $129. The manager had the audacity on there to tell the girl that I also owed $10 for the delivery charge and then a tip on top of that. So I'm flustered. I ended up paying $159 for this pizza. All said and done. She goes back and I said to her, don't worry. I heard that he said some nasty things to you. And then she started crying in front of me. I'm like, this is a small town. I'm going to make sure that you don't get fired over this. This is a mistake that I think your management should have dealt with. So she left. I phoned up the manager again. And by this time I realized now I've paid $100 for a $59 pizza. I'm stoked. I phone up, call myself first, because if you know what your design is, like, I know I can't go out all guns blazing. And I really kind of centered in what I wanted to say to him. First off, I think it was really crappy that he told the girl that she was going to get fired over a mistake. Again, it's a money mistake. Secondly, I got charged $100 for a $59 pizza because I ended up paying $159. I'm like, what is going on? This is crazy. And you know what? The fella didn't see that he was in the wrong. I'm like, sir, you are her manager. It is your responsibility as a manager or a business owner or whatever type of authority that you are in, that when you have employees, and trust me, as your business grows, you will be getting more employees. Okay? It's just what happens with businesses as you grow, whether they're part-time contractors, whether you're dealing with clients and you have a money exchange, things are going to happen. And then I said to him, and by the way, if you fire her, because it's a little town, like, if you fire her, I will make sure that the city knows and that you'll be put onto the radar. Because there's no way that I think that you should be able to fire somebody and not have just cause. Okay? Because this is like day-to-day stuff that people do all the time. So now I really want to kind of ask you guys, like, obviously they lost my patronage over it. And it was kind of funny because the owner is actually a personal friend of mine and asked why, because I made a public post. This is also this energy. You don't need to keep your feelings in secret when there's been a wrong. And so what type of business owner would you show up as? Would you show up as a business owner that you would have integrity with your business? Right? Are you going to show up as a business owner that has integrity, that you stand behind you, your leadership, who you are, and what you want to do on this planet? Right? So that's what I want you to think about today. So I'm not going to be doing any kind of a pitch on this live, but I do want you guys to really think about the three things that are my three pillars and when I have a business. And it's been actually the same three pillars for 30 years. Know yourself. Know who you are as a business owner. What type of integrity are you going to have? So since I value freedom, freedom is one of my biggest pillars in who I am as a leader and as a business owner. I value freedom, freedom of speech, freedom to the right for people to tell me their thoughts, their feelings, and vice versa. Okay. Freedom doesn't mean that you start a business and then you go out into the world and you come back and forth. Then you don't really have a business, by the way. But I value freedom of speech and freedom that when the work is done, the person can go for the day. Like, I don't really care how many, vested hours, unless I'm paying hourly, then it's a different thing, right? But I want the freedom for people to tell me what they think, feel, do, right? And then number two, my second pillar is to know who you're here for. Think as a business owner that when you start having clients coming in and you value who your clients are, what kind of leader or business owner are you going to be for that client? To not only just have your point of view, but what is that other person going to feel? Right? So a $50 mistake was made with both of these instances. One was an overpayment of $50. And then the other one where a person's livelihood was threatened over $50. Kind of ironic that both of these instances were around the $50 and $59 mark. But what would you do as a business owner? Where is your integrity? And always put yourself into the other person's shoes. So when you have clients and you're going to be doing transactions with them, which has to do around money, think about what you want to portray. Have those standards, your leadership standards, that your expression and your action must be consistent all the time. And then this comes around to my third pillar, which is to know how to speak so that you get a yes from people. And that yes can be congruent in them saying yes to your services, sometimes it might even be them saying yes to, you're not the person for me right now. And in that case, I even direct to a lot of my colleagues, right? Just being congruent that what does a yes look like even for your client? Because maybe sometimes it's not working with me. And I'll refer people that I know who have good products, systems, workings that will be better for that person than for me. So maybe even the yes isn't always for me. Maybe it's for one of my colleagues, and I'm happy to refer them. But really think about, who do you want to be when it comes to you and your beautiful business? What standards of leadership do you want? Are you a solopreneur? Then guess what? The person that you have to answer to is yourself. Or are you having some subcontracts? I actually have a VA service where we have several people. And I love each and every one of them. Okay? And I want to treat the people who are working for me with the same respect that I would want to have and be treated. It's very, very interesting. All right. So this is Jody Maley with the Heart Centered Entrepreneur series. And if you are watching this live, thank you. Thank you so much. If you're going to be watching this later on YouTube, I would certainly appreciate a subscribe. Take care today. Think about what you want your actions to be. What type of business owner do you want to be? That's the topic for today. All right. Thank you so much for those of you who joined here live. Thank you so much, Tommy, for giving me feedback that my mic sounds way, way better. And again, just going into this week, think of what type of leader, what type of business owner that you want to be. Take care and have a great day.